Stream started. We going? Okay, we're going. Hello, everyone. I'm back. I guess it feels like a lot longer than it's actually been, but it's really only been just a few days. Yeah. So as you see with the title, I decided I wanted to do a stream a little bit before we start Horror Bash, because I wanted to go over a couple things in regards to Legends CA and what I did with that, and as far as like the VOD and how that stream went and everything. And there's also a couple things I want to go over in terms of, there was a funny story that happened, and a couple other things I'll talk about after we finish going over Legends CA, and then after we do all of that, I'll transition into Horror Bash. One thing you might notice about me right now, if you're tuning in, is that I'm a little bit tired. I stayed up a bit late, so I apologize if I'm a little bit tired, but I was still finishing up with the game and with making sure I have everything that I wanted to get done for today. And also I'll mention too, I finally got the new internet that's been installed. That got installed yesterday, so hopefully today we'll have a better experience. And then mainly, of course, was because of the game and stuff. I was finishing that up, but yeah, we got a new internet going on here. I have some tips and tricks I want to show you too with the game that I learned in regards to shiny hunting and into catching Pokemon in general. I just wanted to show some of that off. I wanted to talk about, actually, let me just talk about it in a sense and what I want to talk about. My apologies, I'm just a little bit sleep deprived or whatever. So, what happened last time was I wanted to do a stream where I would just start the stream on the release of Legends ZA. And the thing about it is I wanted to go into it without any thought whatsoever about, I guess, the fact that the stream could go on for who knows how long. I did, of course, say when I originally mentioned it or announced it, which was just kind of like a small part of a larger stream during Horror Bash, I think it was. Or maybe it was during the Call of Duty beta test. I can't remember which, but I revealed it. I think it was the beta test where I revealed it. But as it stands, I was going to go through Legends ZA, play through the game, not just, you know, it wasn't supposed to be like a shiny hunt per se. It was supposed to be, I'm just going to play the game until a shiny appears. Technically, a shiny guaranteed encounter did appear because I found the shiny, was it Phanpy? Anyways, I'll get to the game in just a moment as far as like showing off in-game stuff, but yeah, there was a guaranteed encounter, which we did pretty early on, but I stayed for a long time after that because I wanted to get an encounter that was not guaranteed. And I have a bit of a funny story and something I'm going to share with you in just a moment. I do need to link it up, so how about I get over to that area real quick. Let me see. Video playing. So I'm just going to get the video going. But I do have a video just for you. And it should be... Hold just a moment. Right. It's not there. Where is it? Oh, here we go. So, as it would stand, this might just start up out of the blue. I was playing through Legends ZA during the course of last stream, and where I ended off was actually very funny. So exactly at the place that I last left off on stream, and I don't know how long it was between it where it ended off, like in game time as far as the clock in the game counts towards this or whatnot. But where I left off on stream, I went to play online a bit, got the Greninja Ite and all of that stuff. So I don't know how long of a time between me doing that and this happening was. But right at the place I left off, I don't even think I moved an inch from there. Or maybe I may have moved a little bit, but I stayed in that area. I didn't do anything. I just did some online stuff to get my Mega Stone and whatnot. And what happened while I was doing that, I heard a sound. It was something I wasn't expecting to hear, something I wasn't expecting to experience. I had a lot of trouble getting to the top of this roof to get to it, but let me see. Here we go. So yeah, it was right here. I was worried about it quite a bit because there were some cases where it turned to nighttime, and I wasn't sure if it was just because it was only a daytime encounter or not, which it was, luckily. There's a couple things I need to tell you if you're hunting for a shiny or looking for a shiny in Legends ZA. One, it saves up to 10 of them from what I heard. So, like, if you hear the shiny spark, up to 10 shiny Pokemon will stay in the overworld until they've been chased off, or you've already attempted to catch them and failed. So they'll stay in the overworld for the whole time. They have the shiny aura around them, so that they'll have the little sparks around their feet, and then they'll make the shiny sound whenever you get close to them, which is good, because I was not sure how it was going to work. I mean, I knew the shiny sparks because we saw the shiny trail, because we saw the shiny, was it Fanfi? I have to get into the game. Mareep, the shiny Mareep. So, when I saw the shiny Mareep, which was a guaranteed one, obviously it had the little shiny feet, but I wasn't sure about that little sound for shiny Pokemon, right? I know in Scarlet and Violet there was a sound, but this one's way more prominent, and the way the shinies work in this game is just far superior to any of the other games. Like, if you are someone that hasn't done shiny hunting before or doesn't really want to do that, you don't even need to be a shiny, someone that shiny hunts to find this stuff. Like, as long as you're just playing the game, you're going to know there's a shiny. You're not going to miss it. You might have a hard time locating where it is, but eventually you will find it, because the shinies are going to stay in the overworld until you catch them or you chase them off. So, eventually you're going to encounter a shiny regardless. They don't despawn unless you have more than 10. But like 10 shinies around the whole overworld is a lot of shinies. So, yeah, and the likelihood that you're going to have 10 at any given moment is a lot more likely than I would think in this game, depending on if you have the better odds from completing all of your missions or not. But yeah, it's still very, very low odds, but it's far more likely than a lot of the other games. Anyways, not probably as likely as horde encounters or what are they called? Mass outbreaks. But still, nonetheless, way more common than you'd think. And as you see, the shiny I got, and I don't remember if I told you about this story here, but one of the first few shinies I caught was a shiny Swirlix, is it called? This one right here. This was actually one of the first few shinies I've ever caught. back in X, was it? Pokemon X? That's where I caught it. It wasn't the first shiny I ever encountered, but I think it was the first, or maybe the second shiny I ever caught. Depending on if you count Gyarados, obviously, which I encountered a lot and caught a lot. But, like the full odds, as far as full odds are concerned, the first shiny I ever encountered, legit, I think, because I wasn't using any like device or anything back when I was little in doing this. So I might have had a device back when I was little, but like it was a full odds encounter. I didn't have anything activated for shiny stuff back then. Anyways, it was a shiny. What's the name of it? Not Geodude, but its second evolution. But yeah, that was the first shiny I ever full odds encountered. The problem is it knew self-destruct. So, I mean, the first shiny I encountered self-destructed on me, and well, definitely couldn't have caught it. I didn't realize until after the fact. There was another shiny I got after that, which was a Slandit, I think. And that one I've had ever since. It's yeah, I will say this though, Swirlix was one of the first few shinies I ever got. I think it was the third one, and it was the one that I was considered like the most legitimate one. So technically, like I said, the first one I caught, I think, was a what is it? Okay, I do need to look at what they're called. I forget the name of some of these Pokemon. Sandile? I might not even have... Oh, here it is. It was called a Sandile. Literally a Sandile. So yeah, that was, I think, the second shiny encounter, but the first one I ever caught. I don't think I used a legit ball for that, so that one kind of didn't go so great there, but the first Pokemon I considered to be a legit shiny that I caught, that I didn't have, like, playing some of the older games I had, or things that I'd done, like, where it was a completely new game, just completely legitimate in my eyes and everything, because, I mean, all of them were full odds and stuff, but, like, that was just a long time ago. The first legitimate one for me was, if I'm not mistaken, the Swirlix, which, yeah, Swirlix was, I think I evolved it, but anyways, now I'll have both stages of the evolution, because I have a shiny of this, if I didn't already catch another one of it, that is, but I think I only had the one. Anyways, I caught this Pokemon here, as you can see, and this was just shortly after I had encountered, or I ended the stream after that point. Like, I turned the game off, went to sleep, because I stayed up pretty late, but then I wake up, I think this was the next day after. It was a little bit before I got to it, but when I got to the game, I played for quite a bit so that I could get Greninja and stuff with the Mega Stone. So that just meant I was online play, which I don't know if that counts towards the, like if the clock ticks for stuff to spawn in or whatnot. I'm thinking what happened is that I got into the game, the shiny was there when I loaded the game up. It was just only after I got done doing some online play stuff that I noticed it. And yeah, the shiny was just right up there on top of that building behind me. So I'm not sure if the shiny was there when I ended stream, or if it just spawned in as soon as I turned the game on. I'm thinking it was because I turned the game on, but I'm not sure if when we ended the last stream it was nighttime or not. Because if it was nighttime, then that would mean that this is a daytime exclusive Pokemon, which means it disappears during the night. So I wouldn't have heard the shiny spark at that time. However, as you could see, I did when I turned the game back on after I finished up with the whole online battling and stuff that I did. And I guess what I wanted to explain or show to you here today is not really catching another shiny, because that would take a while, or who knows, maybe I'll encounter... I mean, look, if I hear a shiny spark, I'll go after it. But the goal of this is I want to show you some catching stuff, and I also wanted to explain to you that, yes, the shinies will stay, even if the day or the night cycles through, they will stay persistently there. Up to 10 shiny Pokemon at a time can be stored around the overworld, so as long as you don't run them off, scare them off, or defeat them, they will stay. It might not be as safe to do it as what I did, which was defeat the Pokemon and then throw the ball. You might be better off having something like False Swipe if that exists. Actually, I can even confirm if that exists, I think, that unless there's a TM for it, in which case I can't, but let me just double check on some of my Pokemon, because I caught a Scyther. I recently did a trade evolution for a Scizor, and I think Scizor would have that if I'm not mistaken. So let me just double check and see if there is... Okay, so False Swipe... I don't know if False Swipe's in the game. It doesn't look like it is. Let me just do a quick search and just make sure, because I don't want to be completely inaccurate here. So I want to make sure I'm giving you some correct information here. Cut from name. Okay, False Swipe's not available in the game, unfortunately. Alright, there's another one too. Give me 1 second, let me check. I need another name for it. Moves like False Swipe. There's another move like False Swipe. I want to see what it was called. Okay, Dragon Rage could work. I think that one's in the game. There's another one that I think Greninja gets. I think Greninja gets another one. Hold Back. Yes. Okay, let me see if that's in the game real quick. Hold Back. Pokemon move. Okay, it's not available either. Alright, so neither False Swipe or Hold Back are in Pokemon Legends ZA, unfortunately. However, with that being said, there are still some methodologies and cool things I want to show you. There's one thing I'm going to mention, and I don't know if it would work. I haven't really tested it very much, but I will mention it, and a strategy I want to show you that might help you catch a wild Pokemon. So if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead into Pokemon Legends ZA really quickly. And I just want to show you a strategy here. Now that I explained how shinies work and just told you that funny story, because it was literally right where I left off at stream. Like, if I would have streamed for maybe an hour or hour and a half more, I probably would have encountered the shiny Pokemon. Maybe. I mean, maybe if I moved around, it might not spawn in, but, you know, it just so happened to be right where I left off. As soon as I came back, shiny Pokemon there. I wish I could have done it during the end of the stream, because then I would have done exactly what the stream is, so I want to apologize for that. And to rectify that, I guess during the time what I did was I just decided I was going to leave the VOD public on Twitch until it deletes itself, because they delete like after 11 or 7 days-ish. But on YouTube, on the VOD's channel, right, I have it unlisted. So what I've done now, and what I'm going to add this to it, this one's not going to be unlisted, this one's going to be public, but I wanted to talk about it, because what happened is I didn't encounter the shiny during that whole 15 to 16 hour spout of playing through the game. But as soon as, the next day, as soon as I turned the game on, I do some online play stuff, like I said, but I don't think that counts towards the overworld encounters, as far as I can tell. Like, I don't think the time. I mean, technically the time might calculate whether or not something spawns in. I'm not sure, but for the most part, like, it was just immediately there after I turned the game on. The shiny was there, so I still encountered the shiny. It's just so happened to be as soon as I go to sleep, wake up the next day, and yes, it was there, which is kind of funny because, you know, I find a shiny Mareep because of it being a guaranteed one. Apparently, it did definitely take me going to sleep in order for a shiny to come into the game, but obviously I didn't want to do that and keep the stream running. I just kind of figured, you know, we failed on that front with, I failed on that front with getting the shiny, so I just didn't want to leave them public on there because I figured I didn't want you to see the title of the video and think that the shiny was going to be encountered or that I actually did that. But I guess the main thing I did want to do was apologize for that. Even though, like I said, what I wanted to do is I wanted to go into there. I wanted to go in just as much as believing that I would actually find a shiny, because I figured, like I said during the stream, for Scarlet and Violet, it only took me like, I think it was the starting area where you start in the game. I literally crossed that bridge and found a shiny Psyduck right at that bridge. Like, when you start the game, you go to the bridge to get to Mesagoza, and yeah, the shiny Psyduck was just right there. So, like, that's only like 15 minutes or so gameplay. So I firmly believe that if I just went into the game, just thought, you know what, I'm going to find the shiny. I don't think it's impossible to find any. Like, if I was looking for a specific Pokemon, I would have been a little more, but I also didn't expect 15 hours. To be fair, I was early in the game. I wasn't in post-game or anything, so I still needed to play through the game a bit to unlock some areas and different things, but I found the shiny, like, right at the area I left off, so there is that. But all is to say, I went ahead and kept those videos unlisted, but I created a playlist where I'm going to put anything that's Pokemon related during stream into there, regardless of if it's unlisted or public. So if you want to find the stream I did for Legends ZA, it'll be in the playlists, not on the homepage stuff, so you can find it in there. This will be public, though. What I'll do is I'll link the playlist down in the description of this once it's on a VOD over on YouTube stuff, so you'll be able to find it that way. But if you're on Twitch here, you should be able to see the streams anyways, because they're public for the maybe a day left or two. I can't actually remember. But pretty much, I want to go ahead and show you some tips and tricks, or maybe at least one tip or one trick about how to quickly catch a Pokemon that might be a little bit harder. So let me just make sure I get to the right one. External game. Here you go. So here's where we are. I'm going to use this as an example. So what I have here is I have a shiny Gengar. I'm going to show you a move, a really cool technique to catching a very hard to, or difficult to catch Pokemon like this Alpha right here. I could battle this Alpha pretty easily with how high my level of Pokemon is, but I just want to show you a really easy strategy. If you use the move Curse, and then you just sort of go around the Pokemon, dodge their attacks, stay close to the Pokemon, I want you to watch what happens. And this is an Alpha, by the way. A lot stronger of a Pokemon. So the main thing is you want to dodge its attacks, like I said. Move around the Pokemon. Then you could throw your Pokeball. This time I didn't catch it, but you have a higher chance of catching it like that. So, it doesn't matter what level your Pokemon is. If you just know the move Curse, call back your Pokemon. I don't know if your Pokemon gets downed, if it would count or not. Also, I can't remember. Can you use this on a... I might not even be able to use it on this Pokemon. Plus, my health is pretty low too. But I'll test it out of the way and see. Anyhow, yes, it works on any Pokemon. It doesn't have to be an alpha or anything like that, but yeah, you just go, you battle the Pokemon, run around until the Pokemon loses its health, and then you can catch it. And that's just one of the easiest ways you can do, regardless of what level you are. You could pretty much be the lowest level in the game, be level 1, as long as you don't get hit and use the move Curse. And I'm pretty sure you'd be able to catch the Pokemon, or have a really good chance of catching it. As you see, I just caught that, and all I had to use was Curse. So, yeah, that's my one suggestion here, is with Curse. Now, there's another move, too, and that move is going to be Perish Song. I haven't used the move yet, mind you, but I'm willing to test it out here. So I'm going to replace Curse. We'll test it out really quickly. I think there's an Altaria up here. And that one's not an alpha, but it is a strong Pokemon, because it's one of the final Evos for a pseudo-legendary, I think. Altaria is a pseudo, right? Because it's a dragon. Most dragon Pokemon are. Is there a dragon Pokemon that's not a pseudo-legendary? Forgive me, I don't actually know. Anyways, Perish Song. Let's see how it works. It says as long as the Pokemon doesn't switch out of battle, so I don't know if this will work or not. I wanted to test it out just to see. I might have to leave my Pokemon in battle for that. But with Curse, you don't. Also, Toxic and Burn might work. Okay, Perish Song seems to be doing something. So, you know, we might be good. Okay, this move works... Actually, it works a little bit quicker. Looky there. So that's a very, very easy way to catch you a Pokemon. And, I think I'm going to keep with Curse, just because I feel like that move to me is a little more versatile, especially since you can use it on Ghost Pokemon 2, which were a couple examples I did. I forget what other Ghost Pokemon I was using it on, but yeah, and I don't think Perish Song would work on a Ghost Pokemon. I don't think, because it's a normal type move, right? So yeah, we're able to do that for Alpha Pokemon, which is, honestly, I don't know if you've ever seen how it goes, but usually when you're playing this game and stuff, you'll encounter an Alpha Pokemon in most of the wilds, or yeah, in all the wild zones, actually, there are Alpha Pokemon. And what's happened to me a few times is I would encounter an Alpha Pokemon and it would just end up being so strong compared to everything else there. So actually, the one example of an Alpha Pokemon that did that to me was, where would it be? It would be Skrellup. Yeah, it was a, yeah, right here, Alpha Skrellup. That Pokemon is very difficult, and I've actually never tested this strategy on it to see if it works, but it works with every Pokemon. Wow, one of the few times I find a Gyarados. This Pokemon is so rare to find. I don't know if anyone else has had trouble finding one, or catching it rather, but just about every time I try to catch it, it does not appear. Anyways, this Pokemon right here has given me the Klotzer. That Pokemon is probably one of the most difficult alphas I had to deal with, and I mean, my starter was, as you could see, oh, it still has health. Anyways, my starter, as you could see, was Meganium. So, I guess technically Chikorita. But, yeah, that Pokemon right there was just one of the hardest alphas. I don't know if it was at the point in the game where you... Technically, well, Houndour and Houndoom was pretty strong too. I'd say it's between this Pokemon here and Houndoom were the strongest ones that I encountered during level progression in the game and everything. But if you do have a Pokemon that knows Curse, you could totally just catch those Pokemon and forego any of the trouble of having to deal with leveling up, because if you just have them, you can get your other Pokemon higher level too. So, yeah, that's my suggestion for you. If you want to have an easier way of catching Pokemon, or if you encounter a shiny alpha, right? Well, that's a quicker way to get it. Although, mind you, if it's a shiny, you might want to be a little more careful. You don't have to knock them out in order to catch them. You just need to get their health very low. And if you add something like a status condition to them, I think sleep, paralysis, freeze, all those things. The best one, I think, is sleep, because it has a higher modifier or value. But, you know, all in all, I would just say the best status condition probably sleep, but the easiest one to use is probably paralysis or paralyze. And then, of course, getting the Pokemon's health low. Now, for me, this strategy, as far as Curse is concerned, is one I like to use for the alpha Pokemon, because they're pretty easy to get. They respawn. So if you KO one, it doesn't really matter how many times you have to attempt it. This is far easier than leveling up your Pokemon, because you could just use it immediately regardless of the level of your Pokemon. So as long as your Pokemon knows the move, that is. And I don't exactly know when Curse, like the lowest level for a Pokemon to get Curse is, but it wasn't that high. I mean, it was like 20 or 30 or something. So like, and a lot of the alpha Pokemon I'm talking about are 40 plus, 50-ish. So I'd just say this. There really isn't too many cases where this strategy wouldn't help you catch any of the stronger Pokemon, whether or not it's an alpha, pseudo-legendary, just any high-level Pokemon regardless. Like I said, you might want to be a little more careful with the shiny. I know that in the example video I showed you there, that Pokemon was technically a Pokemon I caught, right? But there are cases where, like I showed you with that alpha Pokemon, I didn't end up catching the Pokemon, right? So that's not something you probably wouldn't want to have happen if it was a shiny, because, the shinies are very coveted and rare, and, they take so long to spawn in unless you have very, very well odds from specific methods you're using. I mean, there are, in other games at least, easier ways to encounter one, but as far as this game's concerned, you still at best have 1 out of 1,000 some odd. Like, not a little bit more than 1,000, but like pretty close to 1,000 odd of encountering a shiny Pokemon around the board. So like, yeah, it's just a bit of that. Okay, like I said, this was going to be a separate VOD too. I'm going to end it and start up the next one. I'll need to look at my stuff and whatnot. But let me just make sure I remember everything I wanted to talk about here. So there was something I'm going to mention here at the end. And was there something else about the game? Like I said, I wanted to apologize, and I did about the whole thing. But I feel like we did a pretty good attempt with it. And I don't know. I mean, in the future, maybe I'll try something like that again. I don't know. I mean, there's always a chance I might, but it's hard to say. It was something I really wanted to do, which was to just play the game until I find a shiny and find it. So there is still a chance I might one day try something like that again, but it was just something I wanted to try. And like I said, like I'm saying here, maybe there was a better way to title it. I didn't really know any other way to say it other than I didn't want it in the stream until I found it. But I did have that condition. So I won't talk about it anymore. But I hope that this is at least made up for the fact that those are unlisted, or going to be unlisted. Well, they are unlisted. That the stream that I did kind of happened, but then I took it away because we didn't really get that. However, this story, I hope this story was a bit of a funny story and just kind of interesting because, I played through the whole game and everything, and yeah, I just find the shiny right there at the end of it. So yeah, it's just a funny little coincidence thing, and yeah, I definitely am grateful for it, and I mean, it sucks that I couldn't find it during stream, but the fact that I found it at all was nice, and and it was just kind of an homage to the fact that one of the first few shinies I got was a Swirlix back in Pokemon X, so to have that happen again here was kind of cool, especially since as far as I could tell, I only had one anyways, which means now I can have the full evolution line. So I am grateful that it was a Pokemon that I still needed for my collection and stuff. So, that's like doubly. I would have been happy with any Pokemon, to be fair, because that's just what the challenge was for, but the fact that I found one that I did need to add to the collection was nice. And here's another thing I do want to say. So, this one's going to be a little bit more of a thing I wanted to talk about. Originally I did have a thing written down that I wanted to talk about it more, but I guess I either forgot or I came up with something on the spot, but I don't think it really covered what I originally wrote down about it. And also I've been more aware of the landscape and stuff, and I feel like what I was concerned with seems to be actually a thing, and I want to acknowledge and talk about it just a smidge, because I actually intended, ever since I've been bringing it up, like I had something written down there for the first time, and it was almost word for word. I wish I could bring it up right now, but I don't even think I have. Well, actually, no, give me 1 second real quick. I might have it. I actually might, depending on if I deleted it by accident. Or not by accident, but I deleted it on purpose, but I might have I might be able to get it. Let me double check real quick. Where do I have this? If I have it. I don't have any guarantees that I still have it, though. Is it here? So, yeah, I don't have it, so that is strange. Okay, I think it was because I wrote it during stream and I didn't save it. Anyways, that's fine. So what I wanted to talk about, and I would have had an easier way talking about it if I hadn't stayed up so late, but I wanted to explain, I guess, what's been happening during stream and what I did. So during the beta test and everything, over time I've been changing up rules and how chat and all this other stuff's been working. Well, I guess I just want to make it a little bit more aware for any of those of you who watch or see this stream. If me just kind of telling you about this helps a little bit, then I would like to. Because I feel like, over my years of doing YouTube, I've seen some of it over there, and now being on Twitch, I've seen a little bit of it here too. It's that, sometimes you'll get, I don't know, like sometimes bots, sometimes other things too. And I wanted to state a concern. So originally I was a little bit concerned about, sometimes you'll see things like you'll get a follow or you'll get like a thing, but then accounts get suspended. And it's just some weird stuff that I don't quite understand. Well, for a while I was having a bit of a suspicion, and I think at least, and I'm a little bit worried about it, and I just want to bring it to a little bit more of an attention here and bring it up only here. It's part of another reason why I wanted to make this separate from Horror Bash, so I could talk a little bit about this. But there's also, of course, the thing of getting, like, different messages, whether or not it's about, like, wanting to do things with that aren't legitimate or right, or other stuff like that. Like, I want to make it clear to you that I have always and will always be the kind of person who wants to put in the time and effort to actually get to where I have gotten to thus far and where I'm going to by doing the work myself. And by that I mean I don't want to use those illegitimate means or any of that to do that. And I want to point out that there have been probably more of those kind of, I guess, bots or whatever, or maybe, I don't really even know, but like, basically I've noticed that there's a pattern, regardless if it's on YouTube that I see this come up or on Twitch, because it's practically been both platforms that have had this happen. There are people that definitely try to take advantage of the platform in ways where they either try to direct views or direct follows or direct things in order to do stuff that they really shouldn't be doing, in order to promote things that should not be promoted and aren't really even allowed on the platform. If you go to the report button, there's a thing that says trying to use views or other things to give an unfair advantage, either purchasing or those other things. Like, I guess the problem is there's been a thing of it like getting targeted for that kind of stuff that I notice, and I've heard that other people have had this happen to them too, where they get targeted for this stuff and it's completely without acting on it or even having any kind of interest in looking up that stuff. It's just stuff that pops up when you're doing things, and it can sometimes take advantage of your own statistics or placement and ranking and stuff too, like having people follow or do things and then immediately have that stuff go on or do any of that kind of stuff can really kind of hurt people that are trying to, that either are new to it or trying to learn what they should and shouldn't be doing. It doesn't really help you when somebody's doing things and manipulating statistics to the point where you can't tell what you're supposed to be doing. I don't know if it's intentionally trying to do what or in what way it's intentional, but it's definitely not helping anybody. So my suggestion is, if you see someone doing something that they shouldn't be when it comes to trying to sell stuff that they shouldn't be selling on these platforms that makes unfair advantages or things like that, there is a way to report them. Simply go to their name and click the report button. There's actually a thing specifically saying trying to tamper with view count on other people's channel. If you see someone or something like that, I can't stress enough, if you do see it, please do report that too, and I will try my best to do that. I think it will be a better platform if we all just are a little more aware of the fact that there are some people or things going on like that, and I was really worried about it at the time because I got like an influx of stuff that just didn't really make sense in the statistics, and then I look at it and I don't know. I mean, I can't tell if stuff's spotted or stuff's like people intentionally doing that. I really just don't know. But, it's the same difference regardless. And I just want to be sure for those of you who are watching and just, come here to enjoy the stream and stuff, to know that I'm doing my best I can to make sure that chat's a better place for if you want to actually join in or talk or ask questions or do anything during stream. I'm trying to make it as, the best experience I can for watching, whether or not you're viewing, just not even chatting anyways, or if you see the VOD or whatnot. I do my best to make it, a good environment and do my best to make it a better environment over time. Hopefully now, that I have a better internet, I won't have as many glitches and whatnot during stream. I can keep things a lot more consistent, keep on top of a lot more stuff too. So, I think all things are leading towards a better stream. And this stream today that we're going to be having for Horror Bash, I hope will be far better than any of the others. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the new internet in time for the beta test during Call of Duty, so I unfortunately wasn't able to use it for a multiplayer game, which would have been its very strong suit. But hopefully in the future, if I ever do play anything multiplayer related, we'll notice a far bump in quality. Anyways, let's go ahead and get on to Horror Bash. I'm going to get everything pulled up. I need to double check and see which indie horror games I'm going to be playing and stuff like that, but we're going to go ahead and get started. I don't want to keep you any longer. I'm going to go ahead and get the stream going. I'm going to stop this. I'm going to get everything pulled up and then start up the next stream. So I hope you're excited for Horror Bash. I hope you enjoyed at least a little bit of what I had done for Pokemon Legends ZA. I was really excited for the game. And I'm sorry I didn't fully complete what I had said during that stream, but I do hope that my funny little story there for you was a very interesting attempt. I wish I would have titled the stream a little bit differently, but I don't know if there's any way I could title it and keep the essence of me actually just fully committing to the fact that I was going to stay in it for the long haul and actually try to get a shiny legitimately. With, of course, accepting a cutoff point. So, if I do it in the future, I'll have to... I don't know how I'm going to title it, if it could even be any different. I would hope maybe that time what I could do is say, I have this many hours to find a shiny or something. I could do that. That's probably the only other way I would say it. I have 15 hours to find a shiny Pokemon or something like that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if I ever do it in the future, that might be what I do. But, yeah. I think I've learned my lesson about this, though, and I'm going to be a little bit more cautious about what I take on, rather or not, because 1 out of 4,000 is pretty, well, I don't know. I mean, there are pretty low odds for different things, though, so I don't know. I mean, it's still not... I'm going to try not to go into things that are odds-based if I can, if that makes sense. I want to make sure most of it's just maybe a little more skill than odd, if that makes sense. Focus on challenges like that are more of a skill-based thing rather than odds. That way we don't have an infinite timer. Anyways, I hope you have enjoyed this little before Horror Bash stream. I'm going to go ahead and get Horror Bash started and see you in a moment.